night to talk to you about
Yeah.
this. We've been waiting all night. Like, so it just came out that y'all president, y'all president, not mine. Y'all president paid $750. So just you need to run my numbers back and tell me what I did wrong. Because how is he paying $750 worth of taxes?
Absolutely.
As a billionaire.
I'll tell you why. Because of people, unfortunately, because of people like me. That's it. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
It's funny you say that because every time I'm like talking you up to people.
Yes, that's what he does.
I always use that line.
Yeah, yes, he does. That's how he got me to contact you, Just. He was like, look, you want to get your stuff down to like whatever. Yeah. And then even when I had that conversation with Just, I was like, look, I don't believe in like tax evasion. I believe, and neither does anyone on this phone, I believe that
I do. Don't
I believe that it serves a vital role in society if used correctly. Like, I do believe that we have a moral obligation to pay our part. Now, is the system faulty? Is the system benefiting the 1% and not the people that are actually working? Most definitely. But I don't ever want to feel like I don't owe like my fellow citizens my share.
Right. No, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I think Chris will agree with me on this, but there's a difference. There's a saying, there's a difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. And it's that one is legal, one is illegal. It's the same thing though. So what Trump was essentially doing is he was avoiding tax, like it's tax avoidance. So meaning by planning, by hiring somebody like me and the firm that I was working for, and we make a plan throughout the year. And we tell him to do certain things. We move his companies around. We shift them up. We use certain strategies that are legal. And so therefore, he's able to lower his effective tax rate eventually. And so that's how he's paying $750, because essentially like you're using certain strategies. Like,
does it speak to the business?
What's that?
Does it speak to the business? Like, for you to pay $750, does it speak to, like, does it mean that this person is not this as strong financially as he's led the general public to believe?
Not necessarily, although I do think that's true. Like,
okay.
I don't think he's that successful as a businessman. I don't think he's a good businessman at all, actually. But I
agree.
But
shut this down.
Yeah. The fact that he pays $750, that I don't think that really speaks to it. It just means that he has great tax attorneys who plan and tell him what to do, tell him to shift this money. Say he's doing business in the United States. Back in 2017, the tax rate for a C corporation was 35%. Versus when you contrast that with other countries, that was super high. So like, let's say like Luxembourg, I think is in the teens. So like 17, let's say it's 17%. Mm-hmm. That's a 18% difference, right? So what would I do? I would say he has a subsidiary in the United States. What am I going to do? I'm going to ask him, can he do this same work in Luxembourg? If you can, all right, let's move that entity to Luxembourg, because now that money coming out from Luxembourg is only being taxed at 17% versus 35% effectively. That's just generally, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how he ends up making moves like that, and other things is how he gets his effective tax rate down to like $750. And it's legal if you plan it. But if you try and do it, like I said, some people try and do it by doing illegal things like getting extra Social Security numbers and all this other that's claiming other people's children on your tax return and stuff. That's tax evasion. Right?
Okay.
And that's illegal. But there are legal ways to do it.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question.
I got so many questions. Go ahead, Cake and Jamaican.
Well, no, it's actually, I know I spoke with Justin about this, and Chris, I'd love your insight as well, because my mother and my younger brother had this debate over Christmas 2019, right? Mm-hmm. My thing is, if there's a way for me legally to pay as little tax as possible, and they are more so of the belief, if I'm not misquoting them, that you have a moral obligation to pay your portion of taxes. I'm not so sure I believe that, especially here in the U.S., because I have no interest in, for example, paying money towards the military. I don't.
I don't think we should be using our money to ravage other countries. Yeah.
I don't support war, and I don't buy into this idea that without this grand military, we're going to be attacked from every corner of the board. I don't think anybody gives two shits about the U.S. like that, to be very honest with you. I think that's a perception that's created, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see why I need to pay this huge amount in taxes, and then half of that goes towards building some $1 billion military fighter jet. That makes no sense. Now, if we're talking about paying taxes and you have universal health care, so it's free for all citizens, and education is free, and nobody is homeless and nobody's hungry. Yeah, well then as a human citizen, I'm all for that, but I'm not into it other than that. So that's one thought. And the second thought is, why would you say that? I'd argue I'd argue your point about Trump not being a good businessman, depending on why you say that. I'd probably say that I don't know what he is. I don't know how much money he's worth, but I don't know if I'd say that he's not a good businessman. He's probably not a good he doesn't do business in a good way, but people have known about Trump for decades now. And Trump's name has been all throughout 90s rap music, and he has won this because
he has that illusion that we just talked about, you know.
Yeah, so then he has learned how to brand himself. Now, whether or not we agree with it, he has done a fantastic job branding himself. You either love him or you hate him, but we all talk about him. So is that bad business? Because I'm sure he's gonna find a way to spin this into money.
I think so.
Finally leave the White House. I'm sure he is.
I don't think it's business. Like, so I can appreciate your argument, but I don't think that's business. I don't think the fact that, because even the one thing I guess we can say he's done successfully in business is, like you said, brand himself, right? Still that one thing, I think it came from somebody else. I think some advisor told him, yo, you know how you can make money? I know you're you don't know anything about construction. I know you don't know anything about real estate. I know you don't know anything about that industry, but you know what you can do is you can stamp your father's name on this building, and you can brand, and you can receive money from it. I don't think he came up with that idea. I think his advisor told him to do that.
But surrounding yourself with the right people make you successful, because I was like, at first I thought like Cake and Jamaican was like just feeding us like a load of crap. But now that I hear what you're saying, a big part of business is knowing who to surround yourself with or what resources to tap so that your business is successful. So in that right, even though I hate to agree with Cake and Jamaican, in that right, did he do that?
I don't think so. So hold on. I think still that was his parents. I think that was his father's advisors. Like, I don't think that was him. I don't think he's the one that, because look at the people around him. He has, his attorney is a crook. His friends are crooks. That's what he's awesome at. He's awesome at being a crook, at being a liar, at being someone. He's amazing at that. Like, as a businessman, though, I don't.
All right, let's hear it, Cake and Jamaican. Let's hear it, because I got a second question.
Hold on 1 second, right? So hold on 1 second. Would the four of us on this call agree that Jeff Bezos, or Bezos, how you pronounce it, is he a good businessman? He's the richest man in the world.
Yeah, I mean, from every indication, he's proven. But I mean, you got to look at.
He had generational wealth, though, like, so I don't know, like, which one is like his and which one is like the family. You're just continuing, but it takes a lot to not mess up family money. So I got to give a little credit to that.
Is Jeff Bezos a good businessman? Yes or no?
Yes, I would say yes. I think he's an immoral one, but yes.
Listen, you can't become a billionaire and not be immoral.
Yes, I agree with that. I don't even know why you would want to be a billionaire. When I see people say like billionaire status, I was like, why would you want? In order to do that, how will you have to suppress?
It's not possible. Number one, but here's a point I was gonna make, right? Because first and foremost, I do agree with Justin. I think Trump is. I genuinely think he's worthless at business as he is at just life in general, right? But I was just trying to argue, right?
Yeah.
But, the reality is Jeff Bezos doesn't come up with 99% of the ideas that Amazon pushes out. He takes them. You understand? But you see the difference between someone like Trump and somebody like whether it's Gates or Buffett or Bezos is that he's just more blatant with his disregard for humanity as a whole, where those guys might just kind of keep it quiet. But as I said,
and try to feed you a little program, money here, foundation.
Yeah. You cannot amass a wealth of billions of dollars and not stepped on millions of people. It's not possible.
Yes.
It's not possible.
And that's true. And I think also we got to look at this lens about Trump too. A lot of his brand isn't honest. Like, yes. You can't really say it's tangible. Like, nobody's really even came to me and tell me what makes him truly a billionaire other than his promise. Like, at least look at Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, even though what they do isn't terribly complicated, there's something tangible there where you can point to and see, okay, these people are successes. They actually, what they touch and what they stay in their lane on and do well, they do it very well. But if you look at Trump, you can point to many of his bankruptcies and failures and failed companies and failed universities. I mean, can you be a good businessman and have so many failures and then you talk about them as if they're not failures? You don't even look at them.
But didn't you just say that's Didn't you just say that's a part of entrepreneurship? Falling and
Wait, hold on. Wait, you trying to get us derailed? No, Chris, don't fall for the bait, Chris. Don't fall for the bait.
No, I said there was a difference. He pretends like they're not failures.
All right.
I said is his stuff.
We know what you said, Chris. He's just trying to rile you up. So here, it's my turn, Cake and Jamaican. Here goes my question, because I want somebody to get a lesson from this. And I think that we have two of the best people on the line to give them a lesson in this. What is, if I am a Black entrepreneur in business, I need you to explain to me in layman terms, what is the difference between tax planning and tax filing or filing taxes? I think those two hold two different meanings. And I think that's the lesson from this, good, bad, and different. If we don't care about him, there is a lesson about how people in business can use tax codes to leverage, benefits that otherwise wouldn't be there. So could you all explain that, please?
Yeah, and I think Just will probably give a much better answer, but I think it's the amount of time that you spend on doing it. Because if you come in on the very last day before you have to file your taxes and you say, I don't want to pay much tax, then you're getting a prepared tax return, my guy. You know what I mean?
I got you.
And Just will probably, you can go ahead, Justin. But this is, he tells you to go, let's start planning your future payment out from way beforehand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's an awesome synopsis, actually, Chris. So the difference between tax planning and tax preparation is this. Tax preparation. So what you do in April 15th, when you take your documents to your accountant, or you take them to H&R Block and they fill out those paperwork and they send it into the IRS, that's the tax preparation piece. That's essentially a process where you're looking back to the last year, right? That's hindsight. You really can't do too much at that time. Like anything, your tax accountant, whether they tell you they are or don't tell you they are, they're not making any magic happen. Like they're just taking whatever numbers you have, putting them in a software, and whatever number comes out, populates. That's a number that was going to be there no matter who you took it to. Now, tax planning is different. That's something that you do from January 1st to December 31st. And that's something where every action that you do throughout the year, whether this is in your business or in your family, has a tax implication to it, right? You buy a car, you buy a home, you get married, no matter what, you pay for a wedding. All of those are subject to tax in some way. And so what a great tax planner can do for you is, when you're making certain decisions, you can run it by your accountant and they're able to tell you the most effective way from a tax perspective to do that action. So for instance, I have some clients sometimes that'll come at the end of the year and want to buy a car. Sometimes I'll tell them, can you wait until next year to buy that car? Why? Because it's going to have an effect on you tax wise. Mm-hmm. So if you push it into next year, for instance, maybe you'll have more income come in next year. I may say, hey, push the car into next year because you'll get a deduction, or push that payment into next year because you'll get certain deductions from those payments. And we want to offset that income with those deductions versus this year. So it just depends. It's basically what I'm talking about with Trump. He has advisors who are essentially, monitoring his actions, the actions of his business, and are telling him what to do, when to do it. And that's the same thing we should be doing in our businesses. Having somebody who's able to guide you throughout the year and help you make the right moves for your business to be successful.
Oh, it's not just that person you pay on April to be like, turn my stuff in. Like, that's not what we should be doing, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
It's too late.
It's too late then, man. You just going, it's too late then.
All right. So it looks like we got 2 or 3 different topics to chop up. So I'm leaving it up to y'all if y'all want to talk about this. I'm leaving it up to y'all if y'all want to talk about Wells Fargo is racist.
Because you talk about that. So
you already know I hit y'all up y'all were the first, like y'all seen this? Like, I was so angry because I think as a Black woman, I've had to navigate like institutional structural racism. As a Black woman in STEM, I've had to navigate it. And then I think recently I've started